All right, all right, all right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the pre-week analysis. It's me, your guy, Pips, aka Mr. Levels, aka Hop, aka is up there. You know. So before I jump into it, let me give a quick disclaimer. This is not financial advice. Anything that I share during this analysis is for educational purposes only. I repeat, this is not financial advice. Cool beans, cool beans. Let's jump into it. So, starting with Dixie, as always, for those of you who are new, Dixie is the dollar index. And we always start with the dollar index because we use the dollar index to gauge the other asset classes that we trade. Cool beans, cool beans. So, looking at Dixie to start out this week, I would like to see Dixie open up one or two ways. And I got it drawn out here for you right here. I would like to see us either open up respecting the consequent encroachment of this daily fair value gap that's shaded in red here or pink, whatever color you want to call it. I would like to see us opening up, respecting the consequent encroachment of that fair value gap, or I would like to see us open up, reach down, run last week's sell side liquidity. As you know, all of my levels are titled, has a title for them to the right of my chart, right here where you see my mouse at, right? So if you're ever wondering what a particular level is that I'm pointing to, just look to the right of the chart and you'll see exactly what it is. Cool beans, cool beans. So with opening up for the new trading week, I am expecting the dollar to open up one or two ways, respecting the consequent encroachment of the daily fair value gap to push up to target um, weekly buy side liquidity, or I expect us to open up bearish, right? And run the sell side liquidity before then going up to run buy side liquidity. So, regardless of what, my analysis isn't a two-side analysis. It isn't. I'm expecting it to do this and this. No, my analysis, my bias, should I say? Sorry about that. My bias is not a two-sided bias. Um, my bias is to the upside this week for the dollar index, right? However, I'm expecting us to open up today and maybe tomorrow, right? Either one or two ways, respecting the consequent encroachment of this fair value gap, or some some may call it manipulation, right? Or push down to the downside, right? As a fake out, running this sell side liquidity, weekly sell side liquidity, right? As a manipulation move or a fake out move before then running higher to run the previous week's buy side liquidity. Simple as that. That's what I'm looking for out of the dollar index this week. Opening up, either respecting consequent encroachment and starting to make its way towards weekly buy side liquidity, or being manipulated to the downside, right? As a fake out to run sell side weekly liquidity first before then running up to run last week's buy side liquidity. Cool beans, cool beans. So let's look at our other asset classes. Going to currencies, of course. Looking at Euro USD, of course, if I'm bullish the dollar this week, of course, I'm bearish currencies this week. However, if the dollar does open up with that fake out to the downside, I could see Euro USD opening up with a fake out to the upside to run the weekly buy side liquidity from the previous week's price range, right? And then um selling off to go lower, right? Or I could see us just opening up, selling lower as soon as we open up without but without the manipulation to the upside. So that's what I expect to see out of Euro USD going forward for the new trading week. At this moment in time, I do not know how the market is going to open up. I don't think anybody knows except for the people who have their hands on the button. And so nobody knows what they know but them. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know how the market is going to open up. I can give you my uh, bias, my prediction on what I think, but I like to roll with the markets instead of trying to predict the markets. Even though we predict the markets on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, quarterly basis, and everything, um, those predictions are just that, predictions. And so um, I like to allow the market or price action to reveal itself to me, or as my mentor says, show its hand, or give up the ghost. And then once it, shows its hand, then I can just hop on its back and get a piggyback ride to our destination. Cool beans, cool beans. So I predict us opening up, running by side liquidity before selling off to the downside. And that's what I expect to see out of currencies overall this week. Looking at GBP USD, same thing. I expect us to open up to the upside um, to run this weekly consequent encroachment first of last week's price range, or um, opening up and selling straight off and selling down as soon as we open up for the pound. The same as I expected out of euro is the same that I expect out of the pound, right? So we'll see how we open up. And looking at NZD, USD, last but not least for our currency pairs, right? I'm expecting us to open up, wanting to run last Friday's daily PD arrays. So oh yeah, we just opened up about 28 minutes ago. It's 5:28. So you can see this weekly, I'm sorry, this daily candle right here, which opened up at 5 o'clock. Forex markets do open up at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday evenings. So we have been open for exactly 28 minutes now in 30 seconds. And so I expect us to pull on up into these PD array levels, and then I will be looking at how price reacts to those PD array levels. I'm expecting us to find resistance at these levels and continue to sell off to the downside. Right? Cool beans. Cool bean. Now we could see NZD USD reach back up as far as the monthly sell side liquidity that we just broke through right here. We broke through that last Wednesday of last week. And so we could retest that and come on back down lower. Cool bean. As a matter of fact, let me take that back. I see this weekly fair value gap right here, right? Well, it's not a weekly fair value gap. I'm sorry. I'm on a daily time frame. This is the daily fair value gap. But what I was looking at is these weekly PD array levels right here, right? That daily fair value gap is within those weekly PD array levels, right? So we could see NZD reach up into there, right? Reach up into that area of imbalance and buy side inefficiency, right? Before selling off lower. So that's what I would expect to see out of NZD this week, being that um our other two currency pairs was more bullish last week than bearish, and NZD was all bearish, right? So if NZD doesn't just drop straight down, right, throughout the rest of the markets, Asian markets tonight and going into London, I'm expecting us to pull back up into that weekly PD array level from last week's price range. Cool beans, cool beans. Because if you go back and look at pound, you see pound had well, real bullish, right? But they were bullish days. And if you look at Euro USD, you see that Euro USD um was really bullish, right? On Thursday and well, Friday wasn't really bullish, but Thursday was a good bullish day for Euro USD, right? And Friday was bullish too, but looking back at NZD USD, you see from Tuesday to Friday, we was straight down. So we may see that pull back up into those weekly PD array levels before continuing to the downside. So we'll see by New York opening bell in the morning how price opened up today and for London markets going into the new trading week. So that being said, let's move on to let's take a look at silver, right? I know I don't usually look at silver with you guys. I do that with the private group, but silver just recently broke a buy side liquidity that I had my eyes on for a while from September the 29th, right? We ramped back up into the last week, reaching into this daily fair value gap. I like to see us hold above consequent encroachment of this daily fair value gap that we just pushed up into last week. And if we hold above that consequent encroachment, I like to see price fly up to break through this fair value gap and target this buy side liquidity from August the 30th. Right? If we break back below this consequent encroachment, I expect us to pull back down to fill in this fair value gap to the downside. Gold, I want to see us um, I want to see if we can break above this fair value gap, right? If the dollar turns back to the upside, I would like to see gold drop lower, come back down and retest the weekly PD array level, right? So we get that opening down move from DXY, right? That'll see go higher to run the previous week buy side liquidity, right? Before we go lower to come back down into this daily fair value gap and potentially these weekly PD array levels, right? For oil, I am expecting higher prices out of oil, right? We know that I've been wanting to see 129 out of oil for a while, right? This high from March of 2022. We finally broke above this weekly fair value gap here, right? On September the 1st, right? Reached up into this weekly fair value gap that we see shaded in red right here or pink, whatever you want to call it. Once we hit consequent encroachment of that, we sold back down to the daily fair value gap. And then last week before last, we broke back above that daily fair value gap, came back down and retest that consequent encroachment of the daily fair value gap one more time. And then last week, we aggressively broke above it, closing above it, and continue to push up. So I think we see oil go higher to get above $96. $95 this week above this weekly fair value gap. And if we can find support there, then I will be looking for us to take $100 next. So that's what I'm looking at out of metals and oil. Last but not least, looking at futures. I'm expecting us to continue lower for futures this week. And I have a target of this weekly sell side liquidity here from May the 24th of this year at 41.94.75, right? I am anticipating a pullback up into Friday's premium PD array level, right? So if the dollar opens down, that could be enough to send us up into that premium PD array level before sending us lower. Cool beans, cool beans. That's exactly what I'm expecting out of ES opening up. Pull back up to Friday's premium price levels. Excuse me, guys. And then continuing lower, or price opens up and just drops lower out the gate without even giving us a retracement high. One or two ways. Either way, as long as we stay below Friday's premium PD array levels, I'm expecting a bearish week out of ES this week. Period. That's my bias. I'm biased. I'm bearish. Futures across the board this week. Right? Cool beans, cool beans. No, I don't usually look at U30, but I'm gonna look at U30 because I'm expecting lower prices out of U30 too, targeting these equal lows right here, right? So you can see it clearly, right? You see this weekly fair value gap here. Consequent encroachment level of that is that yellow line. See these equal lows here. Smiley dollar face right here. That's where I'm targeting. These equal lows right here. A lot of liquidity sitting below those levels in the form of sell stops. So let's run. And I am anticipating a pullback up into Friday's premium PD array levels. Same thing looking at NQ, targeting these equal lows, which is also a monthly sell side liquidity from the month of September, right? So let's see if we run those sell stops. However, I am anticipating a pullback up to previous weeks, previous days premium PD arrays from Friday's price, right? So that's what I'm expecting out of the markets opening up today and throughout Asian markets tonight and going into the trading session for tomorrow. The New York AM trading session for tomorrow. And so let's see what Monday gives us. I don't know if I'm going to take a trade tomorrow. It all depends on how price is reacting to my PD array levels, whether those levels be in the form of fair value gaps, premium PD arrays, discount PD arrays, order blocks, imbalances, inefficiencies, or whatever the PD array is. I want to see how price reacts to those PD array levels. Once I see some smart money reversals setting up off of those levels, or I see model 2022 models setting up off of those levels, and then I will execute my trades once I get my confluences and get my my models starting to set up, right? Once I see those models starting to set up, those reversals, smart money reversals, or 2022 models, which is just a more advanced smart money reversal model, then that's how I execute my trades, guys. And I showed you guys exactly how I do that on the weekly wrap up from last week. So if you hadn't watched the weekly wrap up, go and watch that from last week. Yeah, you might learn something. It might add some value to your trading journey. So with that being said, that will conclude the pre-week analysis. If these reviews are helping you guys any or adding any value to you guys' lives whatsoever, please feel free to like, share, and most of all, subscribe. It really helps out a lot, you guys and gals. And so, with that being said, I appreciate you guys coming out today, this evening, getting this knowledge, empowering yourselves. Let your family and friends know you love them while they still here. Please. And as always, peace and love, everybody. You know